Hey guys, Brett the Tank Downey here, and I'm with
Crazy H.
my good old boy, my pride and joy, my boy,
Yeah.
my pride and joy.
You know what that reminded me of? I don't know if you remember, but years ago, you were talking to somebody about me. I sat on this couch between these two people you were with, and you went, "Oh look, a rose between two thorns."
Yeah, more like a crack between two butt
And you're
cheeks.
like, gosh,
But
that
anyway,
was funny.
welcome to a new segment here on More Ring Wars. Crazy H has been real excited about doing for some time, so we're gonna start doing it and see how people like it, and see if I can get anybody to actually watch these damn videos.
Which they will.
I even made myself unold manable for you people.
He's taken all the hair on his head and moved it to his beard.
Yes.
That's what he's done.
It's already starting to show to Gray. I'm gonna have to do a retouch up just for a minute. Aisle 6 at Walmart. Or no,
Okay.
what aisle was it? You probably know
It's
what aisle
probably G something. Like G12 or I don't know.
Bingo. Okay.
Yes. So, the reason I'm excited is we had a discussion a while back about kind of broadening the scope of the kind of things we do on our channel, apart from our usual pop culture news and, our...
Which we haven't done a segment on unboxing. We got a whole
there's
boatload of stuff that needs unboxed.
there's some new stuff over there. So, you're trying to think of ways we could diversify and make everything a little bit more discussion based, because if there's one thing that pop culture geeks love to do, it's to talk about everything that goes on, and especially on a more personal level, what our favorite things about all the different genres are.
Yeah, and I hope you guys get to know us.
Yeah,
if you care to.
definitely.
And if you don't care to, too bad. We're gonna tell you anyway.
We are going to be starting to do top 10s, because everybody loves a good top 10 video. If there's one thing we've learned from the internet, probably, of watching YouTubers, it's that those kinds of videos get tons of traction, for whatever reason.
Yeah, but if you go number 15,
No.
Romanian foot lettuce or whatever it was,
Burger King.
I don't know.
For whatever reason, yeah. That's Chills.
My name is Chills.
He's great. Yes, so...
Yeah, I can't say that, man. He has millions of followers.
Yeah, he's great. So, we're going to be doing top 10.
I got just over 300. But I love every one of you guys.
We're going to be doing top 10 characters. We're going to be doing locations, probably, down the line. Some, different,
And,
there's the cat.
of course, it's like has a radar that knows we're doing this and just has to be part of it.
Oh, there she is. This is Tori.
Miss Tori.
Yes, she's a good cat. Ugh, get down there. And another segment, I'm just going to kind of prelude to this real quick, but we're also going to be starting a segment where we talk about movies of ours from things that kind of get a bad rap or are considered bad.
Or movies that have gotten a good rap.
Yeah, that we think are bad. Or maybe vice versa, too.
No, should I say it?
Yeah, we'll save it for them. There's a big one coming down the line.
Yes, it'll
building up.
probably get the most views we've ever had of anything,
but
if people search for it, and
also,
we'll probably get a lot of hate for it. Which
and also we could do.
Everybody hates me anyway on here. I should be, my channel should be Brett the Tank Downey, the black sheep of the collection community. Because I know you other fellow collectors just love me so much. I can just feel it.
The Braun Strowman. Remember that when they introduced Braun Strowman years ago with the Wyatt family?
Mm-hmm.
He was they were like, "This is Abigail's black sheep," or whatever they went on about. But also I was going to say, in addition to doing good movies that we call bad, we'll also probably do bad movies we call good, or we think are good. My one that I want to do for that down the line is discuss the Hobbit trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And not just talk about the reasons why we like it, but also I wouldn't mind going in a more critical way and nitpicking it and talking about things I would have changed had I been the one making them,
Mm-hmm.
Like narrative discussion, so that kind of thing. So
I'm petting a cat, sorry.
We'll have those to look forward to down the line. There might have been one other thing I've been thinking about, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I gotta think about it. But for today, we're gonna start it off
With our favorite discussion.
Simple. Yep, real simple. You know, if there's one thing to discuss favorite characters from, it's Star Wars. So we got, for both of us, our top 10 Star Wars characters, along with some honorable mentions.
And it's been sealed in a mayonnaise jar on Grandma Kettle's porch for the past
40 years, something like that.
How long we've made this?
Oh,
probably
gosh.
6 months ago.
Yeah, it's been months ago. Yeah, we had this thought.
So yeah, it's been a long time
coming. I've been amped up to do it. I'm anxious.
Mr. Working and going to school, it's hard for him. And then when I ain't, I've been rehearsing with a new band, and when I ain't doing that, I'm working on stuff for it. So,
so I guess we'll jump into it.
It is top 10 favorite Star Wars characters.
Yes. And then, like I said, we both have some honorable mentions to talk about, too. I have a little more than you do, and I'm already seeing a couple of mine are actually in your favorites list.
And like, in order for this not to be a 2-hour video, you're going to have to
consolidate.
Yes, because I know you can go on and on and on.
Well, I don't know everything, but I'll try to best break down the main reasons why.
Reasons.
I'm such a fan. Okay.
I better get a drink to get ready.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and jump into my honorable mentions. So I have a note up here. I've always been growing up as someone who grew up with the prequels. I always have loved the behind the scenes Jedi, like the ones that aren't really in the limelight. That in the movies they kind of just stood in the background. I always thought they were like, oh wow, these guys all look really cool. Like, I wonder what, their story is. And then a lot of those got fleshed out in the Clone Wars. So I wanted to include one of them on this list for my honorable mentions. And I was thinking, there's lots of good ones. Plo Koon's great, Kit Fisto's great, Luminar Unduli, Shakti, all those guys. Aayla Secura. And that's the reason I end with Aayla Secura is because the one I chose is Quinlan Voss. So Quinlan Voss, probably a name most of unless you're a really hardcore fan, you don't really know. But he's one of the background Jedi, and he's just really cool. Well, he's got a really cool design. He's got like these long, dark dreadlocked hair, this neat like highlighted paint below his eyes, green lightsaber. He's got like a really neat character design and a neat personality too. And he made his debut in The Phantom Menace in the scene where Saboba kicks Jar Jar for, what did he even do? Spill the alien thing in the bowl of soup or something? You see Quinlan Voss sitting at a table in the background. Here, in the lore of it, he was on an undercover mission at the time. And, like, on Tatooine. And he didn't know that Qui-Gon was in a crisis. Aayla Secura, who was his Padawan at the time, was with him too. And I read somewhere he was like, he would have helped him if he'd known that they were having problems with credits or whatever they were dealing with, but, they didn't know. And, like, just like I said, main reasons I like him, he's just got a really cool demeanor, like, even better in Legends than canon, supposedly. Because in canon, I've heard people complain they made him too much like a beach bum, like, kind of like a, hey man kind of guy, not really, like, as dark and brooding as he was in some of the Dark Horse comics that used to exist before. And then he's also in a novel called Dark Disciple with Ventress, which is kind of about, it ties up Ventress' story for Clone Wars because her episode got canceled in the show because that's whenever the Disney bought it and they canceled them. But they were planning to make the episodes but never got to do it. So her and Quinlan Voss have a love story in that. And that's kind of gets... And Dooku pretty much converts him to the dark side for a little bit, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then the only other real thing...
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's a really good novel from what I've heard. I'd love to check it out. And the only other thing I really...
much out there.
The only thing I really want to mention about him is he's got a really unique Force ability in that he can pick up an object and, like, through the Force, he can tell who, like, had touched that object prior and, like, he's essentially like a good tracker, which I think is really cool. And it's a shame he's only ever been in the one episode of the Clone Wars with Obi-Wan, and I think we deserve more of him. I remember back when Solo came out, everyone saw Dryden Voss that Paul Bettany's character, and they thought that it was going to be him.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a Star Wars comic I know where Quinlan is with Han Solo, which is pretty neat. So that's all I got to say about mine.
I'm peeking at your list.
Yeah, I got a couple. That's just a weird note. I don't know why that's there. I'm probably not going to mention that since that's in yours. So I've only got like 4 more in the honorable mentions before I get to my mains. Okay, to be fair, let's be honest here. Star Wars is huge.
Well, I know it is.
It has a barrage of characters. Yes, you are. You've seen your face. But it has there's hundreds of characters because this thing's been around for, what, longer than 40 years, hasn't it?
When did Lucas write it?
When did he write Star Wars? Like the mid-70s? And it's been growing since then between him and
But I mean,
other
I wonder
people.
when he had it like wrote like I know it got on a big screen in the 70s, but I just wonder when he actually wrote it.
He was probably thinking...
I don't know my
He was probably
George
conceptualizing
Lucas
it in that
history
time.
as good as I should.
He was probably... I mean, he'd always wanted to do the kind of space opera Flash Gordon thing for a while, like in his early kind of film writing days, but, I think it probably got kind of conceived in the early mid-70s, probably. So, you got your honorable mentions here. You've only got 4 there, technically. So unless I guess you didn't really know too much about Quinlan Voss, so you probably don't really anything to add to that. So
Ain't he the one you're writing about?
no, that was Eth Koth.
Oh, it's Eth Koth. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Future novel.
or something. I don't know. So you want to go to your first honorable mention?
Who I got?
You have Princess Leia.
As honorable mention? Yeah, she's actually been on my. I don't know.
But that's the thing.
It's so hard to.
The thing with her is, okay, I always have thought that she's been a bit overrated. That's my controversial Star Wars opinion. And nothing against her. Don't get me wrong. Princess Leia is like the OG badass female character in Star Wars. And she has set the groundwork and paved the way.
I wish we could have got
so
more
many
of
others.
like when we seen in the the last of the new movies where her training that
Rey?
little part in
Yeah.
the jungle or with her with Luke or something.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah, flashback.
Yeah, I wanted to see Jedi Leia. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course,
Yeah.
she's definitely an honorable mention on my
And we
list.
had it in Legends, but
And then I'll just name all mine. My honorable mention was her, Vader / Anakin, right?
yeah, because
I mean, a lot of people have him on their top of the list and all that, and I know it's like who he's built about, but
there's
I
so
don't
many
know.
more like interesting
I
characters.
just think some more characters are more fascinating to me.
Yeah,
That's just me.
I'm in the same boat. That's why.
And then when I got Yoda,
Yeah,
which
he's a very popular choice, very iconic.
he was cool and kind of goofy old crazy guy there when he was first introduced.
Yeah,
But
R2.
R2. Oh yeah.
Which-
Well, you can't
Great.
not have R2 on a Star Wars list because it would have been interesting if we always knew what he was saying. There probably was a lot of cursing because a lot of these people were idiots with the things they did.
Yeah. So the last 4 honorable mentions I have, I actually don't have too much to say about them, but I put them out there. So I've got Lando on mine. He kind of has a good journey, goes from the backstabber,
Oh, Lando.
to deciding to fight with them, and he comes full circle, which is pretty neat. Really the only gripe I ever had about him was that him and Han didn't have a scene where they addressed the betrayal at Cloud City, where Lando apologized.
That would have been a cool thing to see.
Well, because
you would have thought it would have been.
I guess it's self-explained in that he was there to rescue Han
I mean,
anyways.
what else could he have done, really?
Yeah,
You know,
he was forced to.
there wasn't really, what else do you do?
And it's always great in seeing him pilot the Falcon again with Nien Nunb, who you love. And I was thinking about that down the line. Once we've done some of these, we should do another one of these. But instead of have it be for main characters, we ought to have it be for obscure,
obscure characters.
obscure side characters. That would be pretty funny, I think.
Yeah, that would be smooth.
Yeah, so I have Lando in there. I have Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and Baze were the best parts of that movie,
Yeah, I agree with you there.
You know, this idea of a blind monk who, like, can't use the Force in the traditional sense, but he, like, worships it.
Really believes in it.
It guides him, you know. He also had a really good character theme, like in the music.
Which also brings up an interesting argument that you could spend a half a day talking about is, could anyone be trained or figure out how to use the Force?
I think so. Well, that's the whole, not to bring this up because people for some reason hate it in Star Wars, but the whole midichlorian discussion makes it scientific. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because
I know what you're saying.
It implies that different people can have different amount of that in their immune system or whatever. And, you know, maybe there's, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, like, there's, like, a booster of some kind that can boost the levels of it and then, you know, do that in some kind of way. Inversely, other characters, similar reason I have cheered on the list is Tobias Beckett from Solo, Woody Harrelson's character. I think
Good old Woody.
He was the best part of Solo to me. I think that he had the most interesting, you know, kind of vibe about him. I loved how he could spin the guns, and, you know. Also, something else I loved is, like, he proves how you can have the simplest costume, but it still looks really cool. Because all he really wore was, like, a gray jumpsuit with a tan cloak and then, like, a double holster with his guns. Yep. Yeah, and that was it.
That was it.
And, of course, the boots. But, you know, it just looks really cool on him, and it suits him really well. And I just added this one because of today, but funnily enough, I have Hunter from the Bad Batch on here.
Hunter.
He's my favorite member of the Bad Batch. Not just because of my name. I mean, he's just, you know, I said to them, I was like, he's like if Aragorn was a clone trooper. It's really cool. But I wasn't happy when the Bad Batch came out. I was like, I finally get a character named after me, and it's the freaking badass knife-wielding Rambo clone trooper. And I was like, that's awesome.
He is the Rambo dude, man.
But yeah, I think he's the best member of the Bad Batch, so that was all the ones I have for mine. Again, there's plenty of Star Wars characters we all love, but, you know, this is just trying to...
And this list could, like, how it could change monthly in this household.
Definitely. Depends on what all they see. Alright, so I guess we're now getting into the official top 10.
Honorable mentions are off the table.
So you've got your first 10. Interesting choice. It's right here.
Yeah, well, my number 10 was Chewy, which, I mean, you gotta take it back to, you know, when the very first Star Wars movie came out, and just seeing all those effects and costumes and everything on the screen for the first time, and I was already had a massive fascination with Bigfoot and cryptids and stuff like that, so to have basically a Bigfoot, you know, person be a main character, and I thought was very cool. I also thought his vocalizations were cool. You know, Peter Mayhew just brought so much personality into the character.
Definitely.
And, you know, it just shined through. Just the little things that he did. But, yeah, I don't think... It's hard to not have a list and not have Chewie on it.
And, like, it always has amazed me, the idea of having this character who speaks volumes, ironically, but says so little.
Right.
Like, you know, all he does is growls and grunts.
When he says something, it's important to be said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It ain't just like he's just rambling.
And it's always the context that helps
like somebody else I know does me.
You know, context helps fill in the gaps of what he's trying to say. But if, like, one thing does come through in his character in each movie he's in, it's his loyalty to Han as a friend, you know? Like, and again, just by growling, like, in Force Awakens, when Han gets freaking killed, you feel the anguish in his voice, you know, like...
And that was the new guy, right?
I think so, unless they... Because remember, they had Peter Mayhew for some of those scenes.
Yeah, right.
But, you know... but yeah, he's definitely... He's one of... If you could pick, like, 5 of the most iconic faces of Star Wars or profiles, Chewie would probably be one of them, you know? And it also goes to show that, in my opinion at least, you don't need to have a character be a human to have them still be relatable and for you to still have an emotional connection
Right.
with them, you know? That's something that's prevalent in a lot of the stuff that we're into. So I like what that shows. So my first number 10, I have mine numbered kind of weird, but I put Hondo for mine. I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of prequel characters in mine, or prequels in Clone Wars, because like I said, that is my era. You know, that was the movies I grew up with.
Well, that's what you grew up with, you know?
And Hondo is just, he is the Captain Jack Sparrow of Star Wars. And you know that the minute Hondo shows up in an episode of the Clone Wars, that it's going to be a fun story. I believe it's Jim Cummings is the voice actor, and he just brings him to life in such a way. Like, he's like a real show stealer. Like, anytime Hondo shows up, he just instantly just takes the cake, you know? Like, I can remember seeing the episodes as a kid of Dooku getting captured with Obi-Wan and Anakin, and I just thought it was the funniest thing. I'm like, here we have three of the most powerful Force wielders in the Jedi, and like of the Jedi and Sith in the galaxy, and they're all at the mercy of this drunken pirate, like who literally just wants money for him.
Right.
It's just the funniest like setup, you know, and you know that's probably my favorite episodes of his, you know, because you know
he just pops up like a bad penny.
yeah, like I said, and it's like every time you see him come up, you know, and he's made it through all the Clone Wars, into Rebels, and then now into the sequels because of Galaxy's Edge. You know,
He's the
animatronic there. You know, and he's great. Like, just I love his progression.
Definitely a bucket list thing to go there.
Yeah, someday hopefully. Okay, so interesting. So for your number 9, you actually put Chirrut.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you have to add about Chirrut from Rogue One?
I just thought he was cool. I think Donnie's awesome anyway, and it just I don't know, just the whole you know how faith's been in my life.
Zoli.
So having somebody that has that much faith in something that it's you know, they live it in their everyday life and everything, and to the very end or that way. That's probably the thing that I like about most. Plus, I love all the stick fighting and all that kind of stuff. I love martial arts anyway, so
yeah, it knocks the shit out of all.
Right,
those,
so it's like, I just thought, in the movie he was the most interesting character to me.
And I just remembered something else. I really like his first scene. His first scene actually isn't when he beats all the stormtroopers with it. He talks to Jin briefly whenever they're in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like the little exchange they have where he tells her the strongest hearts are made of Kyber, you know?
Right.
And kind of, you know, was relevant to her character. I really like that. My number 9 is Cad Bane. So, actually on my list, with the exception of his favorite character, and his favorite character's definitely grown on mine. If I were to redo this, she would probably be in my top 10 somewhere. But I have all 5 of the, more or less, the big characters who came out of the Clone Wars, Cad Bane being one of them. And the thing with Cad Bane is, Clone Wars crew had this daunting task of, we want to make a bounty hunter that's cooler than Boba Fett. Who, for years everybody thought Boba Fett was, and then Jango afterwards. Everyone thought they were the coolest thing, and they were like, how do we do this? So they essentially took Clint Eastwood's character in, all of his old Western films, made him one of those weird blue aliens from the cantinas, and then gave him this, real raspy voice, I think it's Corey Burton was the voice actor for him, I think. I can't remember.
I was really thrilled when they brought him back recently.
Yeah, for the Bad Batch, yep. And
he's just very cool.
And you gotta love, Clone Wars came out for, he was introduced at the end of season 1 and then got a few episodes right off the bat into season 2. You know, popular.
Mhm.
My favorite appearance of him was probably in the Obi-Wan undercover arc, where
Oh
Obi-Wan's
yeah,
because he
yeah.
doesn't know
That was a good story.
he doesn't know that Obi-Wan's that's who it is, so they have to like kind of get along in this uneasy alliance. It's
Hmm.
like this really neat, you know. I really hope that someday we would get the scene of like Boba killing him realized, but from what I've heard, it's rumored to have already happened in the Bad Batch. But I just think we deserve to see that because it cements Boba taking his place as the next big bounty hunter in the
Hmm.
galaxy. I like a lot of the bounty hunter side characters, like Aura Singh
And you've always been a
and
big bounty
Bosca.
hunter
I just that's my favorite.
person.
That's my favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back is
Hmm.
when Vader has them all lined up on the bridge and is giving them the instructions.
Yeah, I also think that was a lot of the mystique or whatever about the original movies is seeing characters that were in it very shortly and wondering what their story was.
And that is
You know.
what that novel in there, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, is about. Even though it's Legends now, but that's what that book was made for, is to kind of fill in the gaps, which is
Right.
really cool. Let's see. So you're number 8. You got Hondo again.
Yeah.
So do you got anything else to add about him? Your own
Just that
thoughts and such?
it's always it's always interesting when he's part of if he's in an episode, I know it's going to be a cool episode,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know if he's going to be, you know, halfway good or halfway bad or what he's going to do, or because everything's always about him,
Mm-hmm. You
and,
know,
and,
it's
and what he's
something.
going to get out of it.
There's something actually very Downey-ish about him. Like he's definitely a schemer,
Oh yeah,
and
he's a
he'll,
schemer,
like
and we are the schemers of schemers.
we gotta love like if something goes wrong, but then it works out in the end. He'll be like, "That's exactly what I told you." He's
Yep,
like, "You
yep.
should have never doubted me." He always says stuff like, and we do that kind of stuff
Hmm.
sometimes too. Um, so number 8, my number 8. Very interestingly enough, I didn't think I had her on my list, and I was happy to say I did. It's Hera. So, from Rebels, and now seeing her as a kid in the Bad Batch,
Yep.
which is really
And
cool.
it's that's really funny because we made this months
Uh
ago.
huh. But yeah, Hera is just definitely my favorite character in the Ghost Crew. I think that she's easiest to relate to,
Hmm.
has the most, like emotional resonance with people. And she's, like she's the mother figure on the ship,
Right.
but
Yeah, she
really badass.
all those voice actors do
Vanessa Marshall,
they
that's who does her, and
they're
she's
just awesome
wonderful.
at it. You really make the characters believable and likable or unlikable or whatever.
So I was trying to think if any episodes stand out for. That's the one thing. Unfortunately, I don't remember as many Rebels episodes as I do Clone Wars ones, but it's just because of the
Right.
format of the show, I think. But I was just trying to like. I'm sure if I could think of one, I'd talk about what I really liked about her in that one, but she's like I said, and I also like she's not really the most powerful person because think about it, she's on a crew with a Jedi and an apprentice, and a trained Mandalorian, Zabrak or a not a Zabrak, Zeb's race, the Lasats,
Hmm.
and he's like incredibly strong and brutish, and then he have her insane little astromech droid who's genocidal and whatever, and she has to pull all of them together and keep not only that, but like she holds her
One her
own.
thing are piloting
Yeah,
skills.
it
So I
is.
mean,
Yeah,
you
and that,
know,
that definitely makes up for it. But it's just like,
Charles ends up saving them when they need saved. So
yeah, she's great. Let's see. Yeah, so that's for my number 8. You up next? You got a good one
what this is what we want?
right here.
7
Yes.
Emperor.
Yep. The Emperor.
Yes. Right, he's
Arguably.
just in. I think in the prequels, he besides maybe Obi-Wan, his acting was just outstanding. We got to meet him, great guy. I always thought if there was like awards and all that he should have got something for Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
But he's just brought so much, and I mean, a lot of one-liners I'd say all the time were his lines because he had a lot of good dialogue and everything. So and just an interesting character and interesting how he came into power and how good of a manipulator he was. I mean, he
really belonged to Game of Thrones. That's where he would have thrived.
Yeah, he would have thrived in a Game of Thrones situation.
Like, Littlefinger was the closest character to him in Game of Thrones, But he is just like a master deceiver in the way that he just plays both sides so well,
Yeah, this is like, I mean, he played Anakin like a fiddle, really. I know. So, but in Anakin's defense, and I've always said this, is like the Jedi weren't exactly the nicest bunch of guys to Anakin.
They were a big part of
and
pushing him.
they gave him the push that way that he needed to, where he didn't feel like he could count on them, he felt like he could count on him.
Yeah, definitely.
The only time I see a little bit of emotion with him toward Anakin is when he went, and of course, he was doing it to use Anakin's power, but when he went and picked him up after getting, mutilated by Obi-Wan, and he kind of put his hand on his head or whatever, and that, so, I mean, you have to wonder if there was any feeling there whatsoever.
Yeah, if he, somehow saw some of himself in him or something like that. Yeah, I always, one of the ironic things I like about him, I like how when he has the Chancellor Palpatine mask on, he's like this very public figure where everybody knows his face. But then inversely, when he's Darth Sidious, nobody knows him really. He's like this shrouded in mystery. It's kind of an ironic
That was kind
thing.
of like the Clark Kent glasses type thing for me. I was like, how do people not know? But
yeah, but think about it though. People in the galaxy probably only got very brief glimpses of the Emperor, like in his dark form.
Right.
Yeah, definitely one of the best villains ever.
Who you got
for my next one?
Yeah,
Ventress, actually.
Yeah, she's a good one too.
She just, again, one of the best characters that came out of Clone Wars. And you gotta love her progression because she just went from your standard Saturday morning cartoon villain to everything she knew got turned on its head, and she had to rediscover herself. And you learn a lot about her past while she's doing that. And
I hope we get to see her in live action before it's over with.
Yeah, she'd be cool.
I've often wondered who would be cool. It'll be interesting to see what they do once they because I think we'll see her eventually in something.
Yeah, definitely. I hope so. But I was also gonna say about her was
she wasn't on mine, was she?
No.
We should do what you said about on some of these, so we do got a lot of doubles coming up.
Yeah, that's what I say. For good reason too. But Ventress kind of becomes like an anti-hero by the end of it,
Yeah, I like the one where her and Ahsoka teamed up. That was a good episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I actually watched a review of that recently, and there's a part in the episode where Ahsoka's like, I never could see us working together for anything, and then Ventress goes, well, these are strange times. And I'm like, that just speaks volumes about, what's to come and, that whole deal. And plus, it's cool that she actually got her introduction in the old Clone Wars, the 2D animated one,
Right.
And she had the coolest introduction in that because she's in a gladiatorial arena fighting all these aliens, and Dooku's up in the balcony.
That was a cool episode too.
Her. There's such great imagery in that old show. It definitely deserves high praise. It's the most underrated Star Wars thing ever made today.
She put off a lot of crap from him.
From Dooku, yeah, definitely. Yeah. That way, actually, I had a theory about her. I have a personal headcanon, and I want to look this up. So, you know how her full name is Asajj Ventress?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever really calls her Asajj. Everyone
Mm-mm.
calls her
I've
Ventress.
never heard anybody call her that. I don't think.
So, I have a theory. What if Asajj is actually the Danthamarian word for sister? Like the night.
Sister.
Well, you know how the Night Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
What if, like, maybe her name is like Asajj is like a title,
I don't know.
like Asajj Ventress.
If
Because
you know, put it in the comments.
I think that's an interesting. If
I'm
that,
sure there's something there that kind of.
if that,
You guys don't know that.
yeah, well, if that isn't proven, I haven't looked it up, but I just had the thought randomly the other day. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, that'd be really because, like I said, nobody ever calls her Asajj. Everybody
No, they don't.
apart from I believe Mother Talzin, but that would just prove the theory more that she would just refer to them as like sister. Like it'd be like if you know how like if like nuns do that,
Right.
like they only refer to you as sister. You know, it'd be like it's like that. So that's an interesting theory of mine that I have. Cool lightsabers too.
Yeah.
Mirror Dooku, but then they also have the ability to connect and Darth Maulish. So yeah, she's very cool, very well written character. Let's see. So your what is it? Oh, next you had Cad Bane for 6. Do you have
Right.
anything to add about Cad Bane? Really, did I cover pretty much all the good reasons?
Yeah, I mean, he's just cool. He's fun to watch. He's everything his whole where he's supposed to be like a, you know, the Clint Eastwood Western clone
His
gunslinger
introduction shot,
and all that.
chronologically, where he's standing by the window with the light shining in through the blinds, like it's one of those '30s detective movies, is so cool.
But yeah, just he's just cool. I was so thrilled to finally get a 6-inch figure of him.
Yep, that's the like one of my own personal one that I have
Right,
over there. My number 6 is Captain Rex.
Rex.
Yes, again, like I said, I've got, with the exception of your favorite, who I would add now in mind probably somewhere, like Rex is like he's the best clone trooper, and he was really the one who made you feel for them in the show, because that was the one cool thing that Clone Wars did that nobody was expecting it or asked it to do, was humanize the clones and make the audience care about them.
Right.
You know,
Give them each their own distinct
yeah,
personalities.
because that's realistic. That's what would
Right.
happen in a thing like that. You know, war would affect all of them differently, even though they're all created from the same man.
I still think it's funny how they're trying to say that old guy
What?
in Jedi.
Oh, is Rex? Yeah.
It's like
I'm.
you know,
I
show
think
me
they might have.
show me on George Lucas's notes. Somewhere
I think they might have confirmed that in the new.
Well, I think they're trying to. No, but I mean, I seriously.
plausible, though.
Right, but I seriously doubt. That was.
Well, no, because Rex is a Filoni creation.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
He wasn't even.
And George, of course, hadn't even.
I mean, it's cool that they're.
Yeah, that's a neat thought, you know.
Wouldn't he be like ancient though?
Yeah, but think about clones. They have a unnatural aging progression.
Yeah.
You know, like he'd probably be.
But that
60s.
doesn't make sense because they were made to age fast. Wouldn't you think they would age faster?
Well, they were meant to age fast to the point of adulthood, but then once they got to adulthood, it slowed to like normal progression. I'm pretty sure, because the reason they were aged fast so that they could supply more numbers to the war when they were fighting it. You know.
Right.
Of course, episode to really show where Rex shines is the Umbara arc with Pong Krell. That remember the Jedi traitor that gets them to shoot on each other. That whole thing. That's a good episode to really show like which humanizes him, and you know you really feel for him in that. And Rex has been through so much, really. I saw somebody comment on a video once that they hoped that he found love or found somebody in the end, because if there was anybody who deserved it,
it was him.
It was him for all that he had went through and suffered through, you know. Great armor design too. Like, so now we kind of have some similar, with the exception of 2 of them.
So is what's it? I'm on my 6.
You're 5.
My 5, and you were 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so, yeah. Interesting. So we both can talk about it.
we both got Dooku. Dooku. And we were just talking earlier about how awesome. What was it that made you get on that tangent about how awesome Lee is?
The video we were watching was about how each of the main villains in the prequels mirror a different part of Vader's own characterization. Dooku being one of them, and they were talking about Christopher Lee playing him, which is epic enough. He also is up there as one of the top actors in the prequels. And I mean, he had an easy part to play, but what was it? There was, because they were discussing a certain thing about his character. That's what it was. He asked George Lucas for them to curve his lightsaber hilt because it's the most natural to what his real,
That's what it was, yeah, and you thought that was badass.
Fencing. Well, one, because Dooku's lightsaber is my favorite lightsaber. I love the curved hilt design and the overtly chrome look of it. And the red blade, when he draws it for the first time and has it down here, the way that the blade just curves, it's so cool.
Surprised you didn't have it.
Well, the original one that they made is hard to find, and they made the new one, but I just haven't had an opportunity to get it.
What's it going for?
Probably $150. You can find it for. It's pretty recent, I'm pretty sure, unless it's went up in price. He's another example about costuming. He has a very simple costume, but it looks really cool on him. And I think he's just very underrated. I love how he's not entirely evil. It's kind of like a face that he puts on, but he's more of a guy who does what he has to.
Was very impressive human being. I mean, all the horror movies he starred in. I mean, he was in, so many big franchises too, and
Saruman's a big,
he killed it as perfect character, and just he was a Suro too, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there was a meme that said all the things he'd done, and it was he's just really impressive.
I said to him, I was like, he might have been one of the most epic people
that ever
lived, just based off all the things that he did.
And you can't not mention that cool voice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep, such a commanding
and so recognizable immediately. You know who it is.
Yep, same. Like I said, I just love his vibe that he's just this elegant gentleman, villain. It's very simple in a world like Star Wars where we have, his assistant is a cyborg alien, and then his apprentice was an alien, and he's just this old dude, but he just has such a presence, and I've been reading a book about his backstory called Jedi Lost. It talks about his past when he was a Padawan and all that stuff, and he's really kind of a tragic person. You feel bad for him when you read that. His family practically disowned him because of his Force abilities,
Yeah.
And he kind of has a bit of what Ebenezer Scrooge had.
Yeah. I wonder if he ever played Scrooge.
It's a wonder he didn't, actually. If he didn't, he would have been good.
However, we do know Obi-Wan played Marley, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Old Obi-Wan, not young Obi-Wan.
Not Ewan McGregor.
All right, what's next?
So I guess your number 4 is my number 2.
Who do we got?
Han.
Huh?
Han.
Han?
Yeah.
He's my number 4. Yeah, well, I mean, I tell you, when Star Wars came out, man, there wasn't a guy I know that didn't want to be Han Solo.
Yeah.
Everybody was. Everybody liked him so much more than Luke. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, Luke.
Everybody wanted to be him.
That's the problem. Luke is the person everybody was, and Han is the person everybody
wish
wanted
you could
to be.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
But he just talk about a perfectly executed role. Well, that whole cast was perfectly executed, but you know, I love anything Han Solo. I got the big Han Solo book that came out a couple years ago. It just has all the facts and lore and pictures of Harrison and
Yeah, he's the original cool character.
right. And I don't think I don't think the new guy did a bad job either.
No, yeah, all of them pretty good.
I wish they'd make another one, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
I think
Solo is
I think the
very
movie
underrated.
got a bad rap. It came out at a horrible time, and I think that was the biggest problem. I mean, it was going against the Avengers and Deadpool
And
at
I
the
think
same
it's
time.
so childish if a lot of it, even if a lot of it was because of people boycotting The Last Jedi. That's such a stupid thing.
Well, everybody boycotts everything anymore. It's like if you don't have something to whine about, put your whining into something constructive. It's like
He had lots of great costumes too. That was another one of the top 10 list types that I was
costumes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
costumes.
that'd be a cool one.
Yeah.
Put in the comments what kind of list you would like us to do.
We have a Lord of the Rings character one planned after this one. And I have mine set up for Harry Potter if we ever do it. I know
Harry
that.
Potter. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of
We
ones
got to get the
could do.
mystery lady involved in some of this stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She had a hard day at work, or she'd been involved in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever Share come up with a list?
I don't think so. I don't think she did.
And what we got next?
Yeah, say. Well, the only thing I was gonna say about Han was like his blaster's cool too. The iconic sound
I
effects.
still say we should have taken the toy one you had and
Like painted it up.
did the whole what's it called, model mashing or whatever to do
Yeah.
with it. And
It would have been neat.
you still have that?
Probably buried somewhere up in storage. I don't really know.
That'd be a cool thing to get as a replica sometime. Would be his blaster.
Definitely.
That's iconic enough to own.
Okay, your number 3 is also my number 3.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right here. The
It's-
villain.
Oh, okay.
I have mine numbered different because
Yours
I made.
are all over the place. You made
Yeah.
your list and then numbered them after you
Yeah.
thought about it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did.
Maul. Yeah, if you talk about the just ultimate cool
Well, and not
looking
just that,
character
but
and
the way to save a character. Because I remember post Clone Wars or pre Clone Wars. I mean, whenever I asked you and Casey about Darth Maul, and you guys were like, "That was the biggest disappointment in the Phantom Menace is that they introduced such a
oh, yeah, he
awesome
could have done.
villain." And they
He could have done so much more of that. I'm
supposedly
so
killed him
glad they brought him back in the cartoons.
and what a
man.
way to bring him back!
Yeah, I mean,
Like learning that this character, the only reason he's still alive is because he held on to his hate for Obi-Wan. Like, that's just crazy. Like,
and I
then-
love the whole way they showed how much Obi-Wan had grown when they finally did meet again, and then the compassion he had for him at the end and all that. That just the whole thing about
It
that
was like-
is awesome.
And
you know?
Maul's final moments.
Maul might not make a lot of people's list, unless you're going for how cool he looks or whatever. But if you watch the cartoons and all that and seen his arc where he's been, and you can't, I mean, you got to mention the two big guys that played him.
It was Ray Park.
Ray Park and then
Sam Witwer.
Sam Witwer, who I loved from being human already.
Yeah.
And he just both guys. That's another reason it'd be cool to have this.
Because it's like,
Other Solo movie to see if they would do more with him in the live action
Yeah, 'cause
thing,
it's like-
because I think there's still some story yet to be told of that, and there's Tori again.
I think everyone knows what's going to happen. If they do keep making Solo, I'm willing to bet that Maul kills Kira. And that's what causes Han
it'll
to...
probably be something,
And that's
like
what
that.
causes Han to gets pushed so cynical, and sick of the
Right.
world. Like, I bet that's what happens. But that's the thing. Ray Park gave Maul, like, his cool vibe and, his appearance. And then Sam Witwer gave him his voice. I mean, I know there was a guy, but you almost can't really count his because he had, like, 3 or 4 lines in The Phantom Menace. Not really much. But Sam came along and gave him so much
Yeah, it really gave him a voice.
gravitas and, like,
And that wasn't Ray's voice, was it?
No,
That
it was
somebody,
a different guy.
somebody
Yeah.
else. So
And then you see Maul.
we got to meet Ray too when he was a kid. When Harm was just a kid,
Oh,
and he
yeah,
was a real
yeah.
nice guy.
Let's say the other thing is you really see Maul utilize everything that Palpatine taught him about like mustering, gathering people to his cause, and like manipulation and stuff. Whenever he's gathering like Death Watch and all the crime families and stuff, you know, and then you know, and killing Satine too
Yeah.
was a big moment for that. And then I always like him trying to kind of get Ezra under his wing too.
Yeah, that was that whole, like I say, that whole arc was cool, really cool. What we got next?
So, is this? So you're number 2 and my number 4, both
So it would be your number
4.
Yours number
here.
3. Who was your number 3?
Maul was.
Okay, and then who's your? He was my what? 3?
Maul and I. You and me both had Maul for 3.
We're confused.
You have Obi-Wan for 2, and I have him for 4.
Oh, so is it my turn or yours?
We can both discuss him.
Well,
But Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, man, the absolute best thing about the prequels, in my opinion. And looking so forward to seeing the series. I mean, he had down, and you got another. You got to commend in the cartoons.
James Arnold Taylor.
James Arnold Taylor, man, he just kept that
But
alive and the same
The
spirit.
person you really got to give credit is Alec Guinness.
Yeah, because without him, they all wouldn't had that.
But not only that, but there's scenes in the first movie where he talks about things that occurred in the past, and it's strange because he didn't obviously know how any of it was going to look in the future. He was just going off what George said, and it's like, even though we all know about how everything looked and how it happened, and he didn't at the time, he still makes the performance convincing.
Right.
Like, it's incredible watching him in his craft.
It's just seeing the growth and, of him, because it's arguably as much his story.
That's what I was going to say.
As it was
I
Anakin's,
think there's a strong case for at least the bulk of Star Wars. One could say that Obi-Wan would be the main character just by the sheer amount of people that he encountered and the events that he went through in his life.
Yeah, especially if you're taking the whole, you're taking all the cartoons and all into consideration and all too. I mean, it was definitely a big part of it. But, like I said, I'm looking forward to see what they do with the series. Because as of this recording, we're in July of 21, so the series hadn't come out yet. So if you watch this like eons from now, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
What do we got?
We're at our number 1s.
We are at 1?
Mine's kind of an unusual choice.
Wait, we gotta see
Mine is here.
Oh, okay.
Yours is there.
It's interesting that we both, and this is a shout out to the whole girl power thing, I guess. We both have women. You want to say yours first or me first?
I don't care. I mean, because... So you can go, because it's a popular choice, is the thing.
It's ever since the movie, the
Clone Wars
movie, it's been Ahsoka. I've loved her character. I love her arc. I love how she's always about doing what's good and what's right. The way people should be. Her pride, her compassion for others. Ashley just... I have a feeling she's a lot like that herself, because
I definitely get that.
and then I think they got a good person that carried on live action, because she's one of my favorite actresses as well. And we only got to see her in that one episode.
Like I said, if I could redo this list, I'd probably put her on my top 10 now, and she would probably be very high up. Because Ahsoka, I think is very much the Luke Skywalker of the prequel era, and the arc that she goes through.
Yeah, because she was kind of left. They kind of
Because
did her dirty too.
back when Clone Wars came out, a lot of people didn't like Ahsoka. They thought that she was just like the typical whiny sidekick like type. But then
But they didn't see the growth.
Yeah, the growth that she goes through.
And then how it happened. And
just like the way she matured.
Even after going through that, she didn't have resent or hate or anything. Like I said, she was always about doing what's good and what's right. And I think what's one of the biggest things that draws it to her. And I always thought she was cool looking, and I liked how her lightsaber and the way she used them and all that. And yeah, just a really awesome character. I'm so glad it's gonna be cool to see her in a whole live action series with can't think of her name.
With
Let's playing her.
Rosario.
Yeah, Rosario Dawson, and because she seems like she's that type of person too, real compassionate and everything. So
and definitely she looks like she respects the role for what it is, which is really, really good.
So she's my number one, but
reason.
Like I said, for years it was Han, and then I went to where it was Obi-Wan, and it's so hard to come up with a list of this when it's something you love and have so much passion about, like we do. So we're such passionate fans.
Absolutely.
So go ahead and tell them.
So
give them your essay on your number one.
Yeah, mine's a bit controversial. Like it wouldn't be the obvious choice, but I'm known for doing this because I'm in a similar boat where for the longest time Han and Obi-Wan are my favorite, but I kind of hated that because I was like, yes,
because
it's good
easy
reason.
Choices
yeah,
that everybody would say.
Yeah, everybody would say that Han, and with good reason, but still, I was like, I don't want to put that for my definitive character. So I always had gravitate towards the underrated characters that don't get enough praise or recognition for, what they stand for, who they are, what they went through, all that. So I ended up picking Padme. And, reasonable, I admit a lot of it, for me growing up as a kid, a lot of it was Natalie Portman.
Crush.
Yeah. But she had nothing on Emma Watson, though. So that's that. But getting older, and especially seeing her in the Clone Wars, Padme is a very important character that doesn't really get talked about enough by people. Because, if you go through life in brief summary, in that first episode, she is a queen of an entire planet, and she's only 14, and she's having to make these big decisions. Has her life in danger, because of her, having the decoys.
Mm-hmm.
And she has to go speak in the Senate in front of people and can try to convince them to help. That's a lot of responsibility for somebody of that age.
And I just think of how things could have been totally different, with her and Anakin had.
And that's another thing I like to bring up about their love story is that Anakin is the literal chosen one. And the fact that it's her that he picks and her that he falls in love with has always been monumental to me. Because it's you think that, yeah, she's a queen and whatever, but that's such an important thing. And it's all because she was probably the first person that he ever encountered in his life, apart from his mother, who showed him kindness and showed him, compassion as a little boy.
Yeah, Qui-Gon did.
Yeah, but he met her before he
Right.
met Qui-Gon is the thing. The first, and he's totally captivated by her as a little kid. He asks if she's an angel, which, that's just such a touching thing.
Yeah, and I think it gets forgotten. I think for a kid his age, Jake did a good job, but back then,
absolutely.
I hope sometime he gets redeemed. With all that.
It baffles me that there were people that complained about him because they thought that he was too nice, and they thought that Vader should be this like troubled youth that murders
if you'd
puppies.
seen the tapes of some of the other kids they were looking at,
Gosh,
he was definitely the best one.
And that's the thing with child actors is a whole thing. But what I'm saying is fans didn't like him. A big part of it was because a lot of people for some reason thought that the kid that was Vader should have been this like tormented, like suffering child who like killed puppies and shit. And I'm like, that's not the point. Anakin is supposed to be the sweetest, most pure, innocent kid because it makes his
twisted. It makes that much more.
He's a slave and he has a bad life, but he's still nice through all that, and it's that turn that just makes it all the more tragic, and that's what people never could understand. But then also to keep going with Padme, like I always love in the Clone Wars, she's never afraid to get her hands dirty, to take things, to take actions on her own, and to go do stuff. Like, I always love the episodes in Clone Wars where she's, like, investigating corruption or conspiracy.
I like how they did that, too, because you could see where Leia got
all that from. Even though it's kind of been determined that, like, Leia is more of Anakin's kid and Luke is more of Padme's, even though they both kind of have, like, the looks.
The qualities, too. So.
But, like, yeah, because, Padme does that, she's not afraid to do that, and the fact that, not only was she queen, for that while, but then when her term ended, she decided, you know what, stress as a queen wasn't enough, I'm going to become a senator and still fight for my people, and still, preserve their well-being, even though that's even more stressful. The fact that she continues to do that is amazing. Like, the person that can handle that mental pressure of doing something like that, is really admirable to me. Honestly.
And Natalie's a great actress, too.
Oh, absolutely. And
she was a great, in movies.
All you really can blame for her in the prequels was the scripts and the dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was too wooden in the first one, and then they gave her the cringed love stuff in the second and third. She's actually my least...
Cringed love.
Well, it is, but she's actually my least favorite in Revenge of the Sith. Because she kind of just gets sidelined to the Anakin's love role, like, in that. Like, that's all she does, really.
It's like she went from fighting to just being totally infatuated by it.
There's a dark theory about that, though, I've heard. I've heard that, and this kind of... When this kind of goes into what we were talking about
I
how...
dark theories.
You know how we were talking earlier about how why the heck did she still love him even though he murdered all the Tusken Raiders? There's a theory that says that he actually was tapping into the dark side and forcing her to like fall in love with him, and that's why she seems so infatuated with him. And like because you notice that like the darker he gets, the more closer she seems to become, which is kind of crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but it could be very possible, But say, like, overall, it's just very strong character, very intelligent, like, she has all of, like, the tick marks for, like, something that I find important, in a fictional
You did say
character.
tick.
Yeah.
I'm being naughty.
I know.
Anyway, we need to wrap this up. We've been going for how long?
It was a good discussion.
Very good discussion. If you made it this far to see all this, what could be something they put in the comments? Booger butt?
No.
No?
Put their favorite character and why.
Oh, yeah. That's a good thing. Put your favorite character and why they're your favorite character in the comments. If you were strong enough to make it this far, because it's just us here talking. We don't have no fancy visuals or anything like that. It's just a couple of an old nerd and a young nerd sitting here talking about our top 10 favorite Star Wars characters in our
From
room
2
full of action
generations.
figures.
And that's the most important thing about Star Wars is how generational it is.
Our cat's going crazy over here, so we need to wrap it up. So, thank you guys for watching. We'll try to do some more of these.
Yep.
Don't forget to put your favorite in the comments. If you made this far, thanks for doing that and for listening to our conversation. And as always, remember to do one act of kindness this week and try to help make a difference in somebody's life. That's what life's all about, is being there for each other and helping each other out. And I wish more people knew that. And you know what I'm talking about when I say I wish more people knew that. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you that are subscribed. And don't forget to do all that stuff. I don't need to bring it all up. You just know what to do if you like a video. And, you know, we'd love to have you see us here all the time.
Do all the generic stuff that YouTube.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and
hit the bell.
Hit the bell, and all, you know. You guys know what to do by now. You've seen enough of these. It's like, you know.
Yeah, we don't need to tell you that.
Love to have you around, though. So, for more Ring Wars and the top 10s, Brett the Tank Downey,
Crazy
H. And we'll see you on the next one real soon. I can never do the hand thing right, like people do, because all this is good for the button. I look like a ugh. So.
See you in the next one.
See you.